Update. My girlfriend's 23 female friend kissed me, 24 male, but she's threatening to tell girlfriend something else if I say anything. Original post. I really don't know what to do. She kissed me in the hallway at my friend's house when we were all drinking last night. My girlfriend was barely getting off from work, so she wasn't there yet. She freaked out when I said I was gonna tell my girlfriend, and she said she'll tell her I pushed myself on her to kiss and touch her. She looked completely serious, as in she will, or she'll say I tried worse on her, then said who will my girlfriend believe since it was just us in the hallway. Everyone else was downstairs. I feel so bad that I didn't tell my girlfriend anything when she got there, and still thinking about it now the next morning. I want to be honest about what her best friend did, but I'm scared she's going to put the blame on me. Now for the top advice before reading the update. The longer you wait, the worse it will be. Tell her. That's true. God, this freaking sucks. Be completely honest and get ahead of it. You can't control her reaction, but it's better than being held hostage by her friend and your own mind. Tell your girlfriend, then as soon as you're done, call the best friend on your phone with girlfriend present and say, I'm going to tell girlfriend you kissed me. I can't lie to her, blah blah. And she will probably call herself out then and there. You gotta tell her now. Tell her exactly what happened, and then tell her you said you would share and she threatened you. After all we've been through, I hope she believes me. They've been friends for years, so my fear is she'll believe anything she tells her. Do you think you might be able to get her friend to admit what happened via text? Or record her making this threat next time you see her? I would tell your girlfriend immediately either way because you want to get ahead of it, in case her friend panics and decides to say something. But it might be worth seeing if you can get her to own up if you think she might take the bait. Obviously, loop your girlfriend into this as well. I didn't think about that. Not sure about the text though. She might not want to send anything that I could show to my girlfriend, but recording might work. And now for the update. Sorry to leave you guys hanging. I know many were asking for an update on my post. The last few days have been pretty crazy. For one thing, my girlfriend knows. She was shocked, but I told her the whole thing. Not only about what she did, but the fact that she threatened to lie about me doing worse. And that's why I was afraid to tell her. Also because I was worried how my girlfriend would react. She was shocked and pretty confused, like she wanted to cry. And then I learned something messed up. This isn't the first time her best friend did this. But last time it was her ex-boyfriend from high school. Only her friend told her that it was the guy who kissed her. My girl believed her friend though, and that's why it's the next now. She started crying. We hugged and talked some more. Then things got chaotic. Her now ex-friend decided to stick with her threat and told my girlfriend a completely different version where I forced myself on her. Supposedly covered her mouth and tried to freaking violate her, but she managed to push me off and go with everyone else. Only my girlfriend did believe her lie, and they had a huge fight. Obviously no longer friends, and my girlfriend was pretty devastated. I hated seeing her so hurt, and wished that this didn't have to happen. Then to make everything worse, she stuck to her word and lied to all of our friends about what happened. Made herself the freaking victim and told them my girlfriend is supporting an offender over her own friend. Like seriously, it was freaking crazy. My girlfriend couldn't believe it. That hurt her even more. Our friends had texted her nonstop telling her what an awful person she is, that I'm a freaking monster and they're encouraging her to file a police report, which she was planning to do because that's what she told her cousins. That lasted a couple days. It was so stupid though, because if something like that even happened, why would you not tell someone right away? At least some of our friends who were at a party didn't seem to buy her story. Not all of them, but at least some. We got sick of this garbage. So my girlfriend went over to her house and she convinced her to admit it was a lie. I don't know how she did that, but my girlfriend said it took a lot of talking. Plus, she managed to catch some holes in her lies. Then an hour later, she got a text from her saying she's sorry about spreading those rumors and asking if they could talk because she doesn't want their friendship to end this way. Yeah, after kissing me without consent, lying about a crime and making my girlfriend seem like the bad guy too, she doesn't want their friendship to end like that? So freaking crazy. It all drained us, to be honest. Her girlfriend wasn't in a good place and I felt bad. Tried to be there for her, hugging her whenever she cried and saying how much I love her. We didn't want to do anything for Thanksgiving because of everything, so we came here to stay at a motel by the beach the last 2 days so we could forget about stuff. She's still sad about losing someone she thought she could trust, but I'm sad for my girl. Hoping things get better from here now that she's not around. Edit. To people saying to talk to a lawyer, I realize I probably should. just so some things are on the record and this can't come back to bite me in the future. I don't know when we'll be back home, but once we get back, I'll try talking to a lawyer. Thanks. Do people already know that it was a lie? What did they say? Does the friend keep asking to be forgiven? People who believed her friend and now know the truth are still her friends? Most of them apologized to both of us and deleted some of the stuff they said to us on Instagram and Twitter. Some haven't, but I think it's because they're embarrassed. We blocked her everywhere because she wouldn't stop messaging us. If you have the financials for it, you could sue her for slander/libel. I could maybe, but this has been hard enough on my girlfriend, and I just think it's better to move on from it faster. I'd be sending some stern messages to people to take their posts down calling you an offender, or you'll see your lawyer about a libel case. Otherwise, it's up there. Your name equals offender. You can't have that out there for any future person/employer to go looking at. Then when they've done that, both of you should block these flakes from your life. They're highly dangerous to you. All of them did. It just meant there are some who haven't reached out to apologize. But the fact that they deleted all their comments suggests they know the truth now but just won't say anything to us. Keep that text message. If the friend goes nuclear, you have evidence against her. I'm so sorry you had to deal with all of this. That friend is a monster. She forced herself on you. I hope the future is bright for the two of you moving forward. We screenshot everything she sent us as proof before we blocked her. Now for the last story. My female 28 husband's male 30 older brother male 35 confessed that he's in love with me. What the hell do I do? Original post. This happened last week. I'm still shocked and have no idea what to do with this information. A little backstory. My husband and I have been friends since I was in middle school, so we've known each other and each other's families forever. We started dating after college and got married 2 years ago. Let's call my husband Greg and his older brother Michael. I've obviously known Michael just as long as I've known Greg, but in that vague peripheral way, you know, a friend's older brother. He was already well into college by the time I met and started hanging out with Greg, so until we got married I hadn't had a lot of contact with him, except for holidays when everyone was home. Michael and his wife, let's call her Stephanie, have been separated for over a year and are in the process of getting divorced. He primarily cares for their 6-year-old son. Stephanie moved out of state. Michael's a near physician and has been insanely busy since COVID started, especially since their son's daycare is still closed. Since I'm able to work remotely, I've stepped in to help out with babysitting. As a result, I've had more interaction with Michael, but still, it's not much. Just him getting home exhausted from work, saying thanks, me saying some version of no worries, happy to spend time with my nephew, and then leave. Nothing romantic. No ulterior motives. Nothing weird. Then last week, as I was gathering up my laptop and stuff getting ready to go home, Michael said, "Hey, I really need to talk to you about something that's been bugging me." I honestly thought it was going to be that I had done something wrong in caring for his son, letting him do/eat something he wasn't supposed to or something like that. But then he essentially told me that he's been in love with me for years, and that his feelings toward me were a contributing factor in him leaving Stephanie, and seeing me with his son and coming home to me every night has been wonderful. He then said, "I understand you're with Greg, but I had to tell you how I feel." I sort of blacked out from shock, mumbled something about needing to get home, and left. I can't stress enough how little one-on-one contact Michael and I have had. Like, I don't think I've ever even hugged him. If you added up all the words we've ever spoken to each other, it might comprise a 30-minute conversation. He's almost like a father/teacher figure to me. I certainly don't feel the same way about him, and I'm blown away that not only is he apparently in love with me, how, but I was a contributing factor in his divorce? Which means Stephanie knows how he feels. Because I know some problematic people will ask, no, I have never led him on, or in anything even remotely revealing in front of him, texted him about anything other than childcare logistics, or spent more than 10 minutes alone with him. I'm honestly more confused than anything, because from my perspective, he knows nothing about me. Like, we barely talk. How the hell can he think he's in love with me? I've avoided him entirely since it happened, saying I had a bunch of meetings and couldn't babysit last week, which I feel really guilty about because I love spending time with my nephew. I haven't told anyone else, especially my husband. Please help. This is so far above my pay grade, and probably above Reddit's as well, but have no idea what to do. I don't want to cause a weird rift between brothers, or not be able to see my nephew anymore. Any advice is welcome. Thanks. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Tell your husband what's going on. I'd explain that's why you've been dodging his brother. Brother-in-law may think he's in love, but most likely is using what he thinks he knows about you as an ideal to hold up for his failed marriage. This, as you've pointed out, brother-in-law barely knows you. He's created an idea of you in his mind and fallen in love with it. This sometimes happens when people are unhappy in their lives and close themselves off from being involved in the people around them. He was likely unhappy with his wife, and during that time continued to imagine a life with you, building you up into someone you have never been. Be sure to mention this to your husband. I think that your brother-in-law needs clear boundaries, but not a kick in the teeth. He likely needs therapy. Step 1. Show husband this post. The information is going to cross husband's path eventually, and it's really important that you're the one to tell him. You don't want him finding out. Plus, finding out you know. Plus, you elected not to tell him. Real step 2. Avoid contact and start treating your mental and emotional health. Blacking out from stress is a sign of trauma, but just like any wound, can heal. Green grass, blue skies. Tell your husband. The brother needs to be called out on his stupidity. Sounds like has he had tough run. Might have got a bit too intense and found comfort in any female close proximity. It happens. Maybe Michael isn't in love with you. I'm not saying you're not a catch, but maybe he's in love with the idea of you. Do you know why his marriage ended? But perhaps he saw you and Greg together and was thinking about how you don't fight or how you look happy together, etc., etc., and saw those things missing in his marriage. It could be just more fake crush than an actual I've loved you since day one. But you need to tell your hubby ASAP. You don't want him to find out from your soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law calling him saying, "It's your wife's fault my marriage is over." Now for the update. This is going to be super long, but here it goes. My husband is my best friend. Has been since I was 12 years old. Keeping this from him for 5 days was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was sick to my stomach and could barely sleep. A special FU to those commenters who insinuated that I was lying and had actually been in love with / sleeping with Michael the entire time. And I'm using this as an excuse to get out of cheating. Who hurt you? I knew even before posting on here that I needed to tell my husband. But being the conflict-averse, socially awkward / anxious person I am, I sort of hoped this would all go away if I just ignored it like nothing happened, or pretend I had gone spontaneously deaf. I didn't want it to turn into some huge deal that made every family get-together impossibly awkward. But the responses I received here were overwhelmingly, "Tell your goddamn husband." Yesterday, Tuesday morning, I told my husband everything. His initial response, no joke, was laughing. "What?" Followed immediately by, "Oh my god, this is totally my fault." Incredulous, I asked him how this could possibly be his fault. He explained that when Michael and Stephanie were still married, whenever they would have issues in their relationship, Michael would confide in Greg, who in turn would offer his advice and support. Being a protective little brother and upset about how Michael was being treated by his wife, Greg would apparently always use me as the good example, in contrast to Stephanie's bad. She was a bit of an a-hole, to be fair, insisting that Michael deserved better, deserved to have a relationship like we did, a wife who loved him as much as I love Greg. I then pointed out the obvious, that this was neither his fault nor mine, and that Michael was definitely not in love with me, but the idea of me. First as the wife he wanted but did not have, then as the mother to his child. We agreed that the situation has been compounded by the unimaginable stress he's been under since COVID, and he probably saw me as the only stable, loving presence in his and his son's life. Because my husband is the kindest, most empathetic, most amazing man on earth, and probably a better brother than Michael deserves, to be honest, he wasn't even angry. He was sad. He knew as well as I did that Michael was not actually in love with me. We agreed we would talk to Michael together, suggest therapy, and continue supporting him and caring for our godson. We also agreed that no matter what happened, we would not let that little boy be the collateral damage in this awkward, unnecessary mess, especially when his parents have divorced. His own mother has all but abandoned him, and a global pandemic has prevented him from seeing his kindergarten friends as often. He needs and deserves a stable, loving, normal environment in which to be a kid. Greg and I decided that we would watch our nephew together yesterday, at our house. Greg texted Michael that we would be working from home, and to drop the boy off on his way to the hospital. When Michael got off work and came to pick up his son, I was upstairs, leaving them to talk. After they had talked for about an hour and a half, Greg called me downstairs. Both of them had been crying. Michael apologized to me and to Greg, profusely. Total mea culpa. He insisted his intention in confessing his feelings was meant more as a compliment to what an amazing wife I am to Greg, and how happy you make my son. And that was what motivated him to finally leave Stephanie 2 years ago. Not wanting to be with me and take me away from Greg, but realizing that I, or more realistically someone like me, was what he wanted/deserved. He said he realized it was selfish of him to unload his feelings on me like that. And he knew I wouldn't reciprocate them, but that he felt he would go insane if he didn't just freaking say something, with everything else on his plate right now. He said he had been feeling this way for a couple of years and planned to just work through it alone and take it to his grave, but that it just sort of came out like word vomit, and he never in a zillion years would have acted on it. Michael also made a point to underscore the fact that these romantic feelings toward me are quite new, developing about 5 years ago, and were in no way predatory, since he's known me since I was 12 and he was 20. Michael agreed to seek therapy. Greg and I even offered to join him at the sessions if he thought it would be helpful. Greg and I will also still be helping him with a son. He works insane hours, and is new to the whole single dad thing. Any babysitting will be done at our house, not Michael's from now on. For those pointing out that Michael can afford alternate childcare for his son, that's not the point. His son, our godson, needs a stable environment filled with family and routine, since his life has been pretty much uprooted by the divorce, his mom leaving, and the pandemic. Until his school resumes in-person classes next spring, we'll care for him as a family. Greg and Michael's sister and parents, while they know nothing of this mess, share in the responsibility as well, so it would not be totally in our hands. All in all, I don't think any of us could have hoped for a better outcome to this weird situation. Happy to have everything out in the open so we can move forward. Thanks again for all of your advice and kind words. I have the best husband, salt of the earth that one,